Jackie, and I am a certified personal trainer and owner of Fit Like a Girl. Today I wanted to talk about the squat and how to perform this exercise properly, as well as fix some mistakes that people make when they first start doing this exercise. Let's get started. So first things first, I wanted to talk about the specific exercise of the squat and why it's so important for everybody to have in their workout regime. First of all, the squat is considered a compound exercise. Many people mistake it for being just a leg only exercise, but it's a compound exercise in that it involves multi-joint and multi-muscle movements. So in the squat, I'm using my hips as well as my knees and flexibility in my ankles to be able to perform it properly. Muscles used are multi-muscles in the leg, including the hamstrings, the quads, and of course the glutes, as everybody knows. But it also involves my core to make sure that I'm staying upright, and then once I start to add weight to it, it involves upper body because I have to be able to stabilize whatever weight I'm using, whether that be a dumbbell, a kettlebell, or a bar. So, to start off, to perform a squat, I want to make sure that I have myself in good posture. I don't want to be slouching down with my core sucked in and my butt sticking out. I want to stand up nice and tall. So if you normally slouch when you walk around or standing like this, you want to be able to put these shoulders back, and I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not looking down, I'm not looking up, straight ahead. I want to feel that my back is in what's called a neutral position. So my butt's not sticking out in what I like to call the stripper back, okay? And my butt's not sucked in either, looking like I have very poor posture. Standing up nice and tall, my pelvis is in a neutral position because I need my back to stay nice and straight. Secondly, the movement starts with the hips and the knees as I go down. So I'm making sure that my back stays nice and straight as I'm looking straight ahead forward, not looking down, not looking up, just nice straight ahead. Movement starts out of my hips as I bend the knees at the same time, keeping the weight in the heels of my feet. Now when I'm coming down, I want to make sure that I'm coming down to the point where my thighs are at least parallel with the floor. If your hip mobility allows for it, you can definitely go lower, but I don't want to land up here because that's not quite low enough, at least to here. A couple of things that also are very important here is your feet position. Some people don't quite have hip flexibility where their butt can go what we like to call ass to grass. What you can do for a little fix like that is to just turn your toes slightly outward. So almost like your pigeon toe, where your feet are facing out and your toes are pointing in different directions. This moves your femurs in your hips so that you can allow for a little bit more movement. If I have my legs straight, I can personally go about parallel, but if I want to get deeper, it's quite hard and I'm feeling very constricted. And now you can see that my back is rounded. Whereas if I turn my feet out, I can easily get nice and low. The weight is in the heels of my feet, which is where I want it to be. So view from the side, you can see that my back still stays straight. So the last thing that I want to address is the hip, knee, ankle alignment. So this meaning that my hips, my knees, and my ankles all stay in a nice straight line. So as I'm coming down for my squat, my hips aren't swaying from one side to another. My hips, or my knees, aren't going in or swaying out. I want to make sure that everything stays nice and aligned. Even if my toes are pointed out, as I mentioned before, wanting to make sure that I still have that alignment. So as I'm coming down, I want to make sure that my hips, making a mental note that my hips are staying on top of my femurs, which will align with the knees as well as the ankles as I come down. So I'm not doing this or this, my butt's not going out this way or this way, everything's nice and centered. So now I wanted to address the common problems that we see with the squat. First one being your back. So as people go down, especially when you're unaware of where your pelvis is sitting, the tendency is to stick your butt out and do what I like to call the stripper back, okay? This is not the time to be doing that. So what I want to make sure is that my pelvis is nice and straight. So it takes a little bit of time playing around with your pelvis sitting to make sure that you're in the right position. A lot of women stand like this, their butt sticking out, their pelvis is tilted forward, okay? What I want to make sure is that my pelvis is sitting nice and straight. So I have to tuck my butt in and my stomach at the same time just to stand nice and straight. Now I don't want to tuck it in too far where my pelvis is now sitting this way. So now my butt sucked in, okay, my poor posture with my shoulders, again, straightening everything out. So wanting to make sure that my back stays nice and straight as I'm looking ahead and as I go down. This gets to be especially important when you start to add weight to it because having improper back position can lead to lower back problems. So the second problem that I wanted to address is the issue where your knees are going inwards or they're going outwards. This can help and be fixed with just a simple exercise band. I don't use exercise bands a lot, full disclosure. However, if I have a client who's struggling with this particular issue with their squats, I will use one of these. So this is just a plain rubber band that I just tied into a simple knot. Now to use this for your squats, you want to have it just at the point above the knees, right around the quads, okay? You don't want it too low or it will start to push the knees inward. Now what I want to do is work against the resistance band by forcing that hip knee ankle alignment. So I'm making sure that I'm using the resistance of the band to push against it as I go down. So my feet about that hip width apart, going down, pushing against the band so that I make sure that I keep that alignment the entire time. So the next problem that I wanted to address is having issues going parallel with the floor. So some people find that as they try to go lower and lower, they start to lose their balance and they feel like they're gonna fall forward. They get a little bit nervous about it. So to help figure out your depth, a little sneaky tool that you can use, very simple, using either a chair or workout bench, whatever you have available to yourself. Standing just slightly in front of it, you can still turn your toes out, you can still use the band, whatever you need, making sure that the chair is about the parallel level, and then what you can do is find lower things to squat off of. So from here, I would probably go down to a workout bench, which would be a little bit lower. From there, I would maybe try a little step, something to help myself go lower, but I still have a little bit of a safety net. So again, looking forward, back straight, pelvis neutral, hip, knee, ankle alignment, coming down till my butt just touches the chair, and then back up. This is also a great tool that you can use if you're having trouble keeping the weight in your heels of your feet. So if you find that as you go forward to do as you go down to do your squat, your legs come forward and you have your knees traveling far over your toes and you're having trouble keeping the weight in your heels, this is another tool that you can use to help fix that. So now I can keep my weight in my heels, I can go down and up, knowing that I'm not gonna fall. One last tip for keeping the weight in the heels of your feet instead of the toes. As I mentioned before, that is one of the common problems, especially as people feel like they're starting to lose their balance, is they travel forward, which pushes the weight into the toes of their feet, which can put a lot of pressure on the knees. So one other tip, we have the chair that will help you be able to put the weight in your heels so you don't feel like you're gonna fall off balance. Another little tip that I like to use and still use to this day is just simply pulling my toes up off the ground as I go. So as I'm coming down, I just simply pull my toes up off the ground, and that forces the weight into the heels of my feet so that I don't feel like I'm pushing forward too far, but at the same time, I've already found that center of gravity with my balance. So thank you for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful. Ways that I would recommend to progress this is I would definitely start with making sure that you have mastered the body weight squat. So whether you need a chair or a bench to start, get comfortable with that and then remove the chair or the bench. Master the squat by yourself, and then from there you can start to add weight to it in the form of either a kettlebell or a dumbbell. Once you've mastered that and you feel comfortable, then you can move up to a barbell, and there's many different variations that you can do from there. So I hope to be doing more videos like this in the future. If you want to see them, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment below if you have any questions or comments on this video.